Hello and welcome to another weekly review. We got a lot of things going down in the Overwatch universe. We have the hopium going through the roof right now. People are believing in Overwatch 2 again. That's a dangerous game to go down. But we're optimistic. We are optimistic. I'm really excited to see what's going to be coming. If you guys have been living under a rock and you haven't seen the news, Overwatch has officially announced that the release of Overwatch 2 PvP will be in October 4th. So it will be free to play. There'll be new heroes, maps, and modes, and the new tank, Junker Queen. There is the Overwatch 2 reveal event that is happening this Thursday on June 16th. That is going to be talking about in more details what to expect from Overwatch 2. The details, everything around that. We don't really know exactly what's in it yet, but I'm glad that they got these things out of the way early. Like, we know the release date. I believe it's coming out in early access, but it should just be the full PvP live game experience. I feel like that's just semantics and titling when we talk about what it is. Everyone should be able to play Overwatch 2 on October 4th, and it will be free to play, which is exciting. There is incentives that are coming in that they made a tweet about of if you currently own Overwatch 1, then you will get guaranteed access and your skins and some other things that come in. But keep an eye out for that. As I said, June 16th will be really where we get most of the nitty-gritty details of what to expect. But it's good to see. It looks like it's going in the right direction. We finally have a fucking date. It's not coming out in 2027 like Twitch chat said. Who would have thought? And yeah, I'm really excited. You guys should be too. It looks awesome. I'm not going to watch this whole cinematic, but they put like an in-game cinematic here, which was cool to see from Overwatch. There is announced that there will be a Junker Queen cinematic coming out on June 16th as well. It's been teased and stuff like that already so far. So a new cinematic, like an actual Overwatch cinematic, kind of like Dragons was, kind of like the Bastion one was, is going to be coming out on June 16th. So make sure you get that June 16th, 10 a.m. PT. Make sure you guys are there to watch it. I believe as well, don't quote me on this, but I'm like 95% sure that on our Watchpoint pre-show on Thursday, 11:30 a.m. PT, when we have another day of Overwatch League, we are going to be talking to John Spector and potentially Sean Miller. I'm pretty sure. That doesn't happen. You didn't hear it from me, but I'm pretty sure that's what's going to be happening. So if you guys want to get some extra things on that, extra juice, extra thoughts, maybe how it affects the league and the future of Overwatch 2 and how that's going to affect the league, make sure to check into that as well. So Sean Miller said on Twitter, yes, awesome. I wasn't crazy. I was going to try and show us as well. The other thing that came up in this video was there was like a fox. Let me refresh. This might help. There was like a fox in here. The only other detail other than like the cool things from this cinematic, just talking about this stuff, getting excited, all the hopium and stuff like that. This is the thing that support players are rejoicing behind. Is a fox. Girl. Kanazaka, we don't really know what this means, but it is being speculated and it has been rumored that this is going to be the next support that's going to come out. Probably the third hero that will be coming out with Overwatch 2. Support Fox Lady. Don't know what it is. Don't know what that means, but it looks cute and it looks cool. It's going to be, oh shit, that was very loud. But yeah, that's the other little tidbit in case you missed that one as well. There's also some little bits and pieces, cool little Easter eggs like gun charms, interesting skin reworks. We got to see a little bit of Rio de Janeiro, some new skins. So a lot of really cool things coming in for the Overwatch universe. As I said, copium overdoses right now. Everyone is very excited to see what's going to be coming. And just having a release date, I think, has put a lot of people at ease. And especially seeing as it's coming this year, because a lot of people were not anticipating that to happen, myself included. So our team's still world class. I feel like we take the art team and the skins and everything for granted from time to time with how good are the things that they do. So let's move on to Overwatch League news. That's pretty much Overwatch universe. Next week, I'm sure in my recap video, we'll be talking a lot about the details that get announced on June 16th. But for the now, that's all we have. So let's talk about some Overwatch League news. We have Vulcan from the New York Excelsior. As quickly as he came, he has gone. Vulcan got dropped by the New York Excelsior. They said that his 30-day contract has ended and we've agreed to mutually part ways. He didn't play a map as a lot of us expected. He just didn't fit in the roster. A lot of people believed he was originally signed just to fill the 6-man requirement for every single Overwatch League team. And there was never any expectation for him to play. He tweeted out himself, while the language barrier made it hard to compete, it was fun being a part of the team, and I am thankful for the opportunity. So it sounded like he did get some scrims, but it was just difficult for it to work for him. Not too surprising. The question that we have now is, who is their 6th man? And I mulled a little bit about this on stream already. It better not be Kuki. In the active roster for the New York Excelsior, Kuki is actually listed on the roster as a player. Kuki, for people that aren't aware, he is the head coach of the New York Excelsior now. He has not played since 2019, where he benched me on main support. It's a fucking trip. But with Vulcan out, that means that he is the 6th player right now. Is he going to play Lucio over Gangnam Jin? He potentially has more experience. Unlikely. But I hope that they sign more players. The New York Excelsior has been a team that has just been riddled with inflexibility. They do not have the players. They have a flex support player in Gangnam Jin playing main support. Yaki and Flora have not looked comfortable so far in their DPS duo. Kellen's been good, but he just feels like he's getting left out to dry. This team's just a dumpster fire right now, and I hope they turn it around by signing new players. Kuki as the 6th man is not the solution to this team's problems, and I hope we get to see some additions soon, but this is all we know as of thus far. So another signing that came in, we had Mikey getting signed for the San Francisco Shock. This is rumored to sort of be kind of like a filling in the blanks for this Shock roster. Kaluj is historically an off-tank player. He's been playing great on the Winston, the Doomfist, literally anything Kaluj has had to play, he's been good at. But Kasaurus, I believe, did a quote retweet of this one, and he said this was really just to fill in the roster and make sure that they have all the holes filled in terms of main tanks. That's actually not him. Welcome, picking up Mikey should help us fill in gaps in our tank hero pool, as well as him being an in-game leader for the team when we need it. So we did see Mikey in the past. He played for Boston Uprising for a short stint. He was solid. What people have been saying is that his Wrecking Ball and maybe his Reinhardt are the things that he's being signed for. Kaluj might not be able to pick those up as effectively, and it also means that they don't have to spread Kaluj too thin. So, interesting signing. I personally don't expect to see Mikey too much unless we hit hard metas that are good for him. So, we'll see how he does in the long run. So, that is all the news in terms of team signings. What has happened? Obviously, this has been a down week for the Overwatch League, so there has not really been much happening. Just a few signings here and there. So let's go on and talk about the patch notes, because this upcoming mid-season tournament is going to be played on a new patch. There is no new heroes, nothing like that. We're not seeing Junker Queen or anything. It is just going to be, as far as we're aware, it's going to be the patch notes that came in just before the beta went down. So this is going all the way back to May 5th, which is just over a month ago now. And the big things that you should really pay attention to as we look at it here is going to be the Zenyatta change. But we're going to go through them all really quickly. Briggs' knockback was doubled on a shield bash. Not really significant too much. The Zenyatta change is big. The base shields from Zenyatta go from 150 to 175. What that means is that the health of Zenyatta is now 225, which is a big deal. We've seen Cassidy go from 200 to 225 before, and that made a significant difference to being able to just stay alive on that hero, which is one of Zenyatta's biggest weaknesses. There's also a new passive ability, Snap Kick, which increases melee damage by 50% and increases the knockback of it. If you've seen clips of it, Zenyatta can now just yeet people with the kick. You can kick them into wells, you can kick them off the edge, but also you can create distance between yourself and anyone who's trying to get in your face. So Zenyatta has a tool to deal with that in the face. So this is a big deal, and I think going to be the most significant change, one of the most significant changes from kickoff clash to mid-season tournament. We should, in my expectation, you should expect to see a lot of Zenyatta. There will be a lot more Zenyatta played in the upcoming tournament. Ana, duration of the biotic grenade, so the purple and the extra healing of the biotic nade is from 4 to 3. So that is a pretty big change. It means that you are less isolated when you're getting hit by that purple nade. So should give a little bit of a nerf to Ana. There's a quality of life change in her ammo capacity as well. It's not a big deal. It's just quality of life. Baptiste, 10 to 13 healing ammo, not a big deal. This is a pretty big one for Lucio. Self-healing penalty increased from 30 to 60%. So this can be kind of complicated to understand, but think of it in the inverse. So instead of Lucio healing himself for 70%, that's what it was in the previous patch of the Kickoff Clash, he would heal himself for 70% of what he healed everyone else. Now, Lucio only heals himself 40% of what he heals everyone else. And I believe that is also relevant to when he uses the amplification. He amps it up. So Lucio heals himself drastically less with his own healing. The support passive is still there, so he'll be able to heal himself outside of combat effectively. But in fights, Lucio might not be able to play as aggressively and get in people's face because he won't have that self-sufficient healing that he has had in the past. So this is a pretty big deal for Lucio. Zarya, Graviton reduced from 4 to 3.5. Kind of significant, but not a big deal. Knockback increased by Wrecking Ball by 36%. This goes back to his original roll knockback value when he was launched. So he's going to hit everyone around. I don't know if this will make Wrecking Ball good all of a sudden. I doubt it. But hey, never say never. Winston's secondary fire ammo from 20 to 12 allows him to spam the right click a little bit more. The Tesla cannon. He can do something from the mid-range now with the Tesla cannon, but the biggest issue was that he's just using too much ammo. It cost him too many resources to shoot it, that it was kind of hard to use. So Roadhog change with the whole hog. He essentially can, when he presses Q, he can now take the whole hog away and use other abilities. So he can whole hog, take it away, hook someone, and then use whole hog again. The duration is the same. It's just you can put it away and pull it out whenever you want, and then use his other abilities. So he's less exposed when he presses Q, and it's not like something where once you press it, you're standing there for like 4 seconds, just like shooting into a wall. So another one of, I don't think this is going to make Hog viable, but it's a cool change. Sombra, movement speed from 65 to 50. Sombra needs some real serious changes other than that. Soldier 76 got nerfed into the ground. His damage was reduced from 20 to 18. So that's a pretty significant damage nerf. His movement speed got reduced from 50 to 40, which with the DPS passive is essentially going to what it was in the past. And then tactical visor, you can now critical hit with your tactical visor, but they took away the fall off. They added fall off damage again. So essentially you can't just tac visor from really far away anymore, but you can headshot now, which is definitely a nerf in my eyes. I don't know how this is going to feel with the critical hits, but I don't expect to see Soldier 76 be played much at all in this upcoming tournament. I think Soldier 76 is just dead in realistic expectations. Sojourn, though, someone who might take Soldier's role, which would be good for the game to see Sojourn, the new hero, be played. They reverted the railgun alt fire projectile width, so essentially it's easier to hit the head or just anyone with the railgun. This, I believe, goes back in line with what it was in the alpha when it felt a lot better. In the beta, it's just too hard to hit the railgun, and if that's the primary resource that you need to hit, it was just too hard to get value from. So this should revert a little bit of that. And the power slide from 7 to 6, essentially, biggest problem with Sojourn is that once you've used the slide, you have no way of getting in and out, and you need to play somewhat close range as Sojourn to get value from the rail, right? To charge up your rail and shoot it. So hopefully this should make her a little bit more survivable. Yeah, the legs are gone. The thighs are taking the place. Absolutely. There was also another change. So this is a patch that came in a week after that other patch. So it's just some little things. They increased the damage, they increased the rate of fire from Sojourn's left click from 13 to 15. So essentially she shoots faster so she can get her rail up faster so she can do more damage with her left click. Pretty big buff, honestly, from 13 to 15. And they increase her ammo capacity just because of how many bullets you're going to be firing now with the increased shots per second. If the ammo clip stayed the same level, you just burn through all your ammo too fast. So this was another buff to Sojourn, another reason why she might be played more. They added Mercy Super Jump. If you've missed this, they added Mercy Super Jump to the game. It's now an ability that you can press instead of something that you have to like fiddle around with like the crouch and the GA and then working out the timing. They've made it very easy for casuals to do. The way I would explain it is kind of like what they did with Lucio wall riding. Like Lucio wall riding was a really cool thing and you could get really fast. And essentially what they did is, it was very complicated to do at first, but they just made it easier to do and accomplish. They're doing the same thing with Mercy of, it's a cool movement tech that we're just going to allow players to use more easily. So this will become a lot easier to do, and everyone should be able to Mercy super jump now. And then here's the big change of what I think is going to define the meta for the mid-season tournament. Baptiste's regenerative burst. It now heals for 50 instantly and 50 over time, instead of just 100 over time. So that's how it used to work. When you hit the regenerative burst, everyone around you would get healed for 100 health per second, 100 health over time. So now it does 50 instantly and 50 over time. But if someone is less than 50% health, they actually get healed for 100 instantly, and then I believe 50 over time still. So it's now 150 health. I believe that's how it works. But you no longer heal yourself for double with the regenerative burst. This is an insane buff against dive. One of the biggest things about dive, and one of the reasons Baptiste is not very good against dive, is that when you drop your lamp, you either get pushed out of it or they break it really easily and then you just die and you don't get enough healing. 50 instant health, potentially 100 instant health. That's going back to levels of Brig Armor Pack in Brig 1.0, where you could just throw it on someone and someone just gets 100 health instantly. It's a lot of health to get very fast in a radius around you. So diving against Baptiste gets drastically harder with this Baptiste change, and it might be very, very strong as a Baptiste, and it might be almost impossible to dive. You pair this on top of the fact that Zenyatta, who has Discord Orb, now has 25 extra health and a defensive kick. If you play Baptiste Zen, it will be almost impossible to dive a Baptiste Zen effectively and get consistent value, because there's so many ways in which they just have too much damage, they use their abilities well, and then you just fall over. So, with that said, let me talk about what I believe the meta is going to be in the mid-season tournament. I believe we're going to go to a Baptiste Zen Sigma kind of meta. Think about what we saw on Circuit Royale. Very similar to that, where you have a Widowmaker, you have the Sigma play in the front with the shield, and then, he's sort of that front line. You have the Baptiste Zen that pump out a ton of damage if they try and rush down the Sigma. You can then play a Widow or a Hanzo behind the Sigma to put in a ton of damage. There's potential, if this becomes meta, that Sojourn would also be very, very strong, because you have a shield to charge a rail off of. So we could end up in like a Widow Sojourn, Hanzo Sojourn, Widow Hanzo, anything like that. I believe teams are going to experiment more with that on more maps, right? You could see that being played on King's Row. I could see it being played on Route 66. Like those kind of maps, even potentially like push maps where you just play defensively and you just keep pushing the bot further forward. So that is what I would expect people to be playing. I don't think dive will work against that. The only other thing that could break this composition that I just said down would be rush. I think if you play a very good Reinhardt Lucio style and you run over the Sigma, you run over the backline, if you can close the distance on those heroes effectively enough, it would work. But that's a big if. You could close that distance, if you could get close enough to the backline, because they're going to have so much damage pumping out. So there is a world in which London is very good. There's a world in which people might just lean more onto the rush. That's where I think we're going. I don't think dive will work. I don't think Doomfist will work. I don't think Winston will work. I think both of them will literally evaporate against the Baptiste Zen, and I don't think they're going to be able to get close enough to do enough damage. I don't think Sombra's going to be able to mitigate this. I think Tracer's going to struggle. So I'm pretty sure it's either rush or that. This is just pure speculation from me. I know in the past I've said, I've watched scrims. I haven't watched any scrims. I haven't talked to anyone about what the actual meta is right now. So this is me just throwing shit at the wall. But it makes sense, right? Like I just don't see how Winston would ever work. So I think that's probably the direction we're going to go. That's my meta report, and we shall see. I think it'll be a very different. I don't know if the Xayah composition will work as well with the front lines. I think the Xayah will evaporate against the Zenyatta as well. Like kind of how we saw. You need that Sigma. Kinetic grasp, like you need something like a defense matrix or kinetic grasp to just avoid the damage, because Azaya, if she tries to walk forward with a bubble, they'll just break the bubble and kill her, right? Like, you're not going to be able to live through it. So it'll be interesting to see what will come out. D.Va could be good. I just think she might get absolutely rinsed by the Zenbap as well. So maybe, I believe the map pool is staying somewhat similar. So we have Dorado and Gibraltar in the map pool. So maybe we'll see some like Zen, Brig, Winston dive on those maps because you need high ground control. But in general, I don't think you'll see as much Xayah or Doomfist or Winston as we saw in the kickoff clash. Obviously, this is music to the ears of Houston Outlaws fans, San Francisco Shock fans, maybe even New York Excelsior fans, people who don't have a good Lucio player. Because especially with the Lucio nerfs, I could see Lucio falling out. Maybe a lot more Brig gets played, but potentially double flex. Any chance of Roadhog? I don't think so. If Zenyatta comes into the meta, Roadhog definitely moves out of the meta more than he already has. So, let's keep moving on. I did my power rankings last week on my review, but I thought I would just go back and give a quick look. I don't really want to move everything around based on what I think the meta is going to be, because if the meta does shift, there's a lot of changes that need to be made of like teams that are potentially really bad. It could be good in this meta. Teams that were good in the last meta might be bad in this upcoming meta. Because I'm just throwing shit at the wall, I'm not going to change my power rankings. This is where I had it. Gladiators clearly number 1 in NA. Fuel Shock Atlanta really sort of vying for that position. The middle of the pack is just an absolute crapshoot. And the bottom end is just sad at this point. The Eastern region, we got the dominant 4 Cell Dynasty, Philadelphia Fusion, Shanghai Dragons, Spark. All these teams could be good at any given moment. LA Valiant and Chengdu trying to get their shit together, and the Guangzhou Charge, their shit is never going to be together. It's on the floor. They've slipped up on it. They're now writhing around in their own filth. It's just real bad down there. It's real bad down there. So, let's do my pick'ems then. Who do I think? 2 teams from each region to advance to the midseason madness. Bonus points for the winner. So it has to be Gladiators from the West. I think Gladiators, you have to believe in the Gladiators. But then, who do you believe in? Dallas Fuel, San Francisco Shock, or Atlanta Reign? Shock or Dallas, chat? Because I don't think it's Atlanta. Like, I think there's a chance that if Atlanta just run Rush, they could get really good at it. I just trust Shock and Fuel more. Like, I could see Atlanta being there, but I think I'm going to hedge my bets with Dallas or Shock. Justice. Get out of here. Chio Zen. But what happens if that isn't the... Like, we only ever saw one look from the Shock, really. It was the Winston dive and the Doomfist dive, right? That was the only thing we saw from them. They didn't show me flexibility. Dallas didn't either, and they looked bad on the Winston comps, but I don't think we're going to play Winston comps. And if I can get my boy Hanbin on Sigma, sky's the limit, dude. I think I just trust Dallas to work it out better. But Shock have so much talent. Oh, Gurio. Oh, no, Gurio. That means they're going to have to lean heavily on Gurio. I got to put Shock up there. I'm sorry. I believe in Kilo proper Sam more than I believe in Gurio, Edison, Sparkle, Doha. Stop hating on Gurio, for fuck's sake. I'm not hating on Gurio. I just think he's a weakness of their team. His hit scan was not that good. And if we end up in a shield meta where Widows are the most important thing in your team, you better believe I'm believing in Kilo than Gurio. Of course, you just did. Yeah. It's not hating on someone if you're just talking the truth. I'm not telling a lie. You're gonna get another Sparkle Tracer situation? Hey, I hope Gurio proves me wrong. I hope Gurio pounds. I really wanted to pop off. He had some good moments in the kickoff clash, but his Widowmaker just didn't give me the faith. I believe in Kilo. I believe in Arns way more. All right, and East region, I'm gonna go with Seoul and Shanghai. I think this is gonna be a good Shanghai meta. If they can get Void on the Sigma and Lip can just play the hit scan, I think it's gonna be really strong. I think their team is just going to be really strong in this. I expect the double flex meta to go way better for them. Their lockdown ended too. Like, I think there's a world in which Hangzhou or Philly could absolutely be better. Philly, I just haven't seen enough from their rookies to understand their flexibility and how they're going to be, how good they're going to be. Like, there's a world in which MN3 Carpe just go crazy, right? In their setup, and they got Fury to play the Sigma, and they could be good as well. Absolutely. But I believe in the the champs of Shanghai Dragons. I almost said two-time champs. I believe in the Shanghai Dragons to be good. I don't trust Spark to be able to put their players on the best heroes. They showed that to us again last season. In the kickoff clash. They got to the end, and they sort of cornered themselves with the meta that they played. And they were just so far behind. Until Spark proved to me, they have the talent, but until they prove to me that they're going to get it right with coaching, I can't trust them over Seoul and Shanghai. Seoul and Shanghai have just as good of players, but from what seems like better coaching. So that's why I'm going for those teams. All right, let's do my pick'ems. So what do we got? West London Spitfire versus the Florida Mayhem. Oh, woof is exactly right. It just comes down to how good Rush is. I just don't know. It really comes down to how good Rush is. Like, if Rush is good, London wins. If it's not as good as we think, and like double flex can beat it, Florida wins. I'm gonna go for Florida. I don't think Rush is gonna. I don't think you can play Rush everywhere. I think Florida is gonna be ready for the Rush, and they probably have practice against it. So I think Florida is gonna be better. They could play so much Ed and Kariv. If they play Bap Zen, they could play both. But I could see London winning this. I could absolutely see London winning this. Exy is also probably he should be in Florida. Have you guys seen Exy's just been struggling to get into Florida? He's been going through it. All right, San Francisco Shock versus Dallas Fuel. I just said that I believe in San Francisco Shock to win the whole thing over it, but I'm gonna go to map 5. As I said, it's so hard to pred these games because we don't know what the meta is. We have no understanding of who's going to play what, so it's hard to know who's going to be good. But this is going to be a good match. I'm going to go for the Shock 3-2 over Dallas. But I have no idea. Washington Justice versus New York Excelsior. I hate both of these teams. How is this possible? I vowed I would not predict the Washington Justice. But New York Excelsior have 6 players, and one of them is their head coach. Leave it at 0-0. Don't pred it. Oh, God. That's it. Nobody wins. That's fine with me. Nobody wins. I don't care. Nobody wins. London Spitfire and Toronto Defiant. This will really come down to what London shows up. But I'm going London. They just lost their head coach. Toronto just lost their head coach. They're in shambles. They're lost. And then the chatty is going to come put the hammer in the coffin. And he's gonna beat them to a pulp. Nail in the coffin? Yeah, I know, but I wanted to do it as a reference to the hammer. You think Chatty needs a nail? Chatty doesn't need a nail to hit the coffin. He's gonna fucking put his hammer through that coffin. Alright, I'm gonna say Atlanta. I think Atlanta's gonna come in with confidence. I think they're gonna go 3-0. Gladiators versus the Titans. Well, that's it. That's an easy 3-0 for the Vancouver Titans. Alright, Washington Justice versus Houston Outlaws. I believe in the Houston Outlaws. I think this is probably gonna be a good meta for them. I'm gonna give Justice a map. Custa, is Hardy the best Ryan at the moment? No. People, like, you could say he's the best Ryan at the moment, but he's the only person who's playing it. Yeah, like, yeah, kinda. He probably has one of the best stats, but he's the only one who's playing it. Alright, Gladiators versus Paris. Gladiators. Alright, actually, before I forget. Gladiators is gonna booty bop both of these teams. Atlanta Reign versus Dallas Fuel. Alright, at this point, I'm just gonna put 3-2 Dallas, and all of these games. Alright, I'm just gonna randomly throw these ones in. Florida versus Toronto. I'm gonna go 3-1. Shock's gonna 3-0 Boston. Paris is gonna beat NYXL 3-2. And Houston Outlaws is gonna beat Vancouver 3-0. So these games for the last couple of days, these are kind of like placeholders. Because I could potentially forget, because I always forget. These are just placeholders while, because we'll be able to see these teams play in earlier days. And hopefully we'll have a better understanding of the meta, how good these teams are. Give the Titans a map? No. Absolutely not. Wobble wobble, motherfucker. Hey, Pride Month, go vote. I appreciate it. All right, Philadelphia Fusion versus the Los Angeles Valiant. Philly's going to win 3-1 over the Valiant. I think Philly's are going to be a very good team. Not super good, but I think anyone in the top 4 is going to beat these lower-end teams. Seoul is going to 3-2 Chengdu because it's APAC. You know what? Chengdu's probably going to be... actually, no. This is going to be a shit meta for Chengdu. It's actually going to be an awful meta. They don't have a hit scan player. Unless they just play, like... sorry, they have a hit scan player, but Leave has to be the hit scan player, which means, what the fuck is Jinmu play? Maybe Jinmu plays Hanzo? I have a week. Oh, fuck it. Yeah, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I want to see what the meta is before. Look, everyone look away. Everyone look away. Jinmu plays Pharah. If Jinmu plays Pharah, it's over, Chengdu fans. We've lost faith in you. Saw nothing. Tracer Mu. The thing of legends. Alright, with that is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the recap. It was a long one, lots to go into, but the mid-season tournament is about to start, and we're going to be getting back into it, hopefully on the June 16th. In a few days, we should get some updates with what's going on with Overwatch 2, and hopefully the league will get a lot better, and it'll be a great tournament. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you guys soon. I think I have a couple of VOD reviews coming out this week. Maybe just the one. But keep an eye out. Make sure to like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys want more Overwatch League content. I appreciate you all. I love you all. And I'll see you guys next time.